friends, welcome to episode 122 of the Quirky Monday Craftcast. My name is Kalisha and you can find me anywhere online as Nadira Tani. I am coming to you today from my home in Central Florida, where it's probably going to rain at some point within this episode. If you're a new viewer, welcome. I'm so glad that you've decided to spend some time with me here. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Thanks for coming back. So let's get into it. We do have a bright spot today, and it comes from Crafty Mystic, and she was saying how she received a handwritten note from her 13-year-old neighbor, which I thought was a really sweet gesture and something really nice to do in general. Like, first of all, handwritten letters. Just pause on that one. And then from a 13-year-old neighbor is just super sweet. So I'm glad that people are still doing things like that, because that's just really, really nice. Especially in this time when, because we're all distancing from each other, it's really nice to see people reconnecting in the ways that they can. The other bright spot is my bright spot. I want to thank you guys for all of the positive comments that I received last week about my Celesterium shawl. Seeing those comments pop up was just such a load of little popcorns of joy, if that makes any sense. So thank you guys so much for your love on that project. Next, before we get into the crafting, I do have a little bit of admin that I am super excited about. Today is May 21st. When you're watching this, it'll be May 22nd, but May 21st is the first day of Gemini season. And if you follow me on Instagram, you will know that I have been showing little sneak peeks, not really sneak peeks, as you guys, if you've been following me, have already seen the finished shawl, but I've been showing little highlights and talking about the process of creating my Gemini shawl pattern. The pattern is, the official name is Gemini Reborn Above, and it is now available on Ravelry. There's a link to it in my in the description bar, and for the first week it is on an introductory pricing where you get $1 discount. There's no code that you need or anything like that. The sale is automatic. So I definitely encourage you guys to go check it out, because this baby has been in the works for 2 years. And I really do feel like it's my pattern baby. Oh, it's gonna rain. Like I was saying, I do feel like this is my pattern baby, because this is, out of all the patterns that I've designed, this one has had the most love and thought and preparation put into it out of all of them. So let me show you Gemini Reborn Above. This is it. It is a trapezoidal, shaped like a trapezoid. And it's made in halves. So you work this half, and then you switch the colors around and work this half, and then you work this flat braided join to connect them together. It's also worked in sections, and each one of the sections represents a part of the story of the Gemini twins, Castor and Pollux, which in a nutshell goes like this. Castor and Pollux were born, and Castor was mortal and Pollux was immortal. One day in battle, Castor dies, and they're separated by death. Pollux is so heartbroken that he is separated from his brother that he asks Zeus to allow him to share his immortality with his brother, and thus Zeus joins them back together and reunites them in the sky as the constellation Gemini. And that is a nutshell of the Gemini story. So aside from the fact that Gemini is one of my favorite constellations, it's definitely one of the ones that I always look for. It's one of those things, kind of like a touchstone that brings you comfort or brings me comfort. I just love storytelling, and I love being able to share that in a visual way. So nothing in this pattern was put there because it was pretty. Everything has a meaning. The two colors that represent the twins being similar but distinctly different. The other color that represents death, that separates them, and also the particular stitch that's used to represent the twins as well. I'm very proud of this piece. It has been tech edited, it's been test crocheted, and I also made a video tutorial on how to do this join. So if you purchase the pattern, I would like to say thank you in advance. I'm just so excited to see how you all will interpret this pattern and this design, and I want to see your color choices. And yes, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to see this come to life. It is, I would say, an intermediate pattern. This motif here is worked, you're working with both colors in each round. So read the instructions, pay attention. Same thing goes with the join. Read the instructions and pay attention. Yeah, but I would classify it as an intermediate pattern just because of the construction methods. But if you're reading the instructions and paying attention, you should definitely be able to complete this pattern, no problem. So yes, that is Gemini Reborn Above. It is currently available on introductory pricing sale on my Ravelry. There's a link to it down below. I'm so excited, guys. One of the things that I was talking about on Instagram, the rain has started, so you may hear the pitter-patter in the background. But one of the things that I was talking about on Instagram when I was sharing different pictures of this shawl leading up to its release was the idea of getting out of your own way. So I said that this pattern has been in the works for 2 years. And for half of that time, it was already done. The pattern sample was done, it had been tested, I had worked through all of the pattern writing and everything. And the thing that was happening was that I was creating all of these hoops to jump through to make sure that this pattern was perfect. Now, I'm not saying that, you should just put stuff out without it being up to your level, like to your standards, but there does come a point when holding yourself to an ever increasing standard can be a way of procrastinating in itself. At one point I was saying, I can't release it because it's not tech edited. So the logical step would be to get it tech edited, right? But instead of just being like, okay, let me find a tech editor and send it in, I hemmed and hawed over what tech editor to use. Can I tech edit myself? Because I'm all for learning all of the skills to do something yourself, like getting those qualifications yourself. But bottom line was, I don't know how to tech edit, so I needed to find someone to do that, and I was dragging my feet. And then when I finally did that, it was, oh, I need to make sure that the pictures are perfect. And I would take pictures of it, but I was just like, I don't know if I like that. Oh, well, I want to take pictures at this particular location, so I need to make sure that I have time or set aside time to go drive to this location and take the pictures. So a lot of the holdup was literally me making myself jump through hoops. And I'm very happy with the finished product. I'm very happy with the photography. I'm very happy with the layout design that I did. I'm very happy with the final product. But it didn't have to take 2 years. It really didn't. So I need to take this as a lesson and use it to encourage myself with these other patterns that I have in the wings, because there are plenty of other patterns in the wings that I'm just sitting on like, oh, I have to wait until some magical point in the future when everything is perfect. No. Do it now. Put out the patterns. Start that project. Start that podcast. Make that video. Write that book. Whatever it is that you are holding in the wings, waiting for that magic moment, just do it now. Okay? Message to future Kalisha, message to you, the viewer. Welcome to my TED Talk. But yes, that is everything about Gemini, and consequently getting out of your own way. Let me get the notes out so that we can get going on today's video. So, our first section, as always, is finished objects. So before I get started talking about the things I have finished this week, I want to tell you about the top I'm wearing, which you probably recognize. This is the Suze-Anna Racerback. It is a pattern by Elisabeth Desamour of Desamour Designs, and I made this shirt last year, and it's set unseamed for, I don't know, the better of 6+ months, but here it is. And then here's the back. I don't think you can see that at all. Let me turn around the other way. I'm being very careful because this bench is very rickety and I don't want it to collapse in the middle of the video, because that would make for excellent viewing. There you go. So the Racerback part is, it matches the lace that goes down the middle of the front, and yeah, it's a very simple pattern. Definitely recommend. I'm thinking that I should probably get some like a strapless bra so that I don't have this like bra and tank top situation going on, because that's not cute. Whatever, it's real life, y'all. It's real life. What I'm wearing. Yeah, so finished objects. I don't have anything finished, like 100% finished, yarny wise, but I do have some things that I fixed and did. So last week I got, what is the phrase, a bee in my bonnet. Like, I really wanted to paint some pots. Why? I don't know. I just wanted to paint pots. I didn't have any kind of design in mind. I literally just wanted to get some acrylic paint, get a terracotta pot, and paint it. So I did. I took some of my tiny terracotta pots that I got from the Dollar Tree. They're about this big, and they came in a set of 3. And I painted them. I painted this one white, this one gray, and then this one white and gray. So I have a little set. At the current moment, I don't have any plants that are small enough to go in these pots. These are the ones I typically use when I have started cuttings, and I have the cuttings rooting, and then I will take them out of the water, or propagating cuttings. I'll take them out of the water and put them in some soil in these little ones so that they can kind of get used to being in dirt, and then I'll take them and put them with wherever they're going to go. If they're going to stay in here until they get bigger, or I transplant them sometimes back in with the mom plant to make it look bigger. That's something that I did with my Fittonia, to kind of fill in the space around her. But yeah, I really enjoyed painting these. You can't see, but there's a whole lot of texture, like brush strokes, in the paint. It's a white pot. How boring. But I wanted to do it, and I did it, and I had a lot of fun doing it, and I felt very accomplished when it was finished. And right now I have some cuttings from my heartleaf philodendron that are in water, getting some roots going. So I'll probably put a couple of those in these pots, or pull a cutting off of something else, because evidently that's what I like doing. I like cutting up the plants that I have and starting new baby plants, because it's like magic. I also painted another pot. I painted it white, y'all. Yeah. And this is just I think it's a 4-inch terracotta pot that I got from like Lowe's or Home Depot or one of those stores. And this growing in it is my avocado. So I took the avocado seed or pit, stabbed some toothpicks in it, set it down in some water, let it do what it's gonna do. And this is as far as it's gotten. It's probably been in here for more than a month. And the last time I did this, my avocado got about this tall, and then it just started dying. I don't know what I did, but hopefully this one will not see the same fate, because I want it to grow. Like, this is really cool. Look at his little leaves. Look at those little leaves. Anyway, so I just potted this in here yesterday, I think. So I need to water it again today, because as I have been reading and learning, when you take a plant that has been basically growing in just water and you put it in soil, you need to keep the soil moist so that the plant can be like, okay, I'm not dried up, we're good. So I definitely need to water this again, moisten up this soil so my avocado doesn't die. But those are all of the pots that I painted. I want to put a face on here. I just don't know what that face looks like yet. We'll see if that happens. So that was the painting that I did last week. I also did some repair work. So last Christmas, I bought this bowl from one of those booths that pops up in the mall, like between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And it's this particular booth had a lot of handmade trinkets, handmade Turkish trinkets. That's kind of hard to say. But one of the things they had were these bowls. And I saw it and I just really loved it. Part of me wanted to buy the whole set, but the way my bank account was set up, that would have been a poor choice. So I just got one. And it's so pretty, right? So I have been using this as a yarn bowl. So I would basically just like sit this, if I was sitting in a chair, I would sit this on the floor and put my ball of yarn in it and go like that. But last Sunday, I was in a Zoom meeting with some of my college friends, and I put this on the chair next to me, and I was just knitting away, and then I decided to like move or get up or something, and I kicked it off the chair. And it broke into like 5 or 6 pieces, and oh my gosh, I was so sad because it's beautiful. So instead of wailing and gnashing my teeth, I picked up all of the biggest pieces and tried to see if I put it back together, would there be any like holes or anything. Luckily there weren't. There's still chips and things that are missing because I wasn't about to look for the tiny little fragments. But I glued it back together with E6000 and it's good to go again. So if you look at the back, you can see the carnage. So it broke all the way in half this way, and then these two big pieces came out this way, and this one broke in half. So it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 5 pieces. But good old E6000 saved the day, honey. Get you some. It also smelled terrible in the room for the rest of the night, but my bowl was fixed, and it is back to its life as a yarn bowl. So yeah, I fixed my bowl. And that's one thing that just makes me really happy as someone who is a creative and also someone who has DIY supplies at home. If I break something, it's not the end of the world. You can put it back together. You know, it's of course gonna look different than it did originally, and it's never not gonna look like it was. That sentence is about to be all jacked up. It's always going to look like it was broken at one point, but that's okay. I got my bowl back. I'm a happy camper. So with that, we'll go on to works in progress, which you saw the yarn for one of my works in progress. This yarn is Chicken Coop Dyeworks. Is that right? I wrote it down. Yeah, Chicken Coop Dyeworks in the color Serengeti Sunset. This is the hen base, which is DK, 100% superwash merino DK weight. And check those colors out. I decided to start the Laid Edges sock pattern by Kellie Macpherson, and I started the first sock, I think last Saturday I started the first sock, and I just knit on it all day, and I think I finished it on I finished it on the Zoom call. So I started and finished the first sock between Saturday morning and Sunday night. So let me show it to you. So that shows you how fast these work up. So I'll show you this side without all of the stitch markers. So this is the Laid Edges sock pattern by Kellie Macpherson. And I can honestly say I am in love with caliper cables now. I found out that this is called a caliper cable, and I love it. I'm gonna put caliper cables on everything. So yeah, so this pattern, it's a free pattern. It's her first sock pattern, and let me tell you, for a first sock pattern, this is amazing. Like, I had no problems with understanding what I was supposed to do, following the instructions, nothing. Like, it was very good. The only place that I ran into a hiccup was the first time I was supposed to do the caliper cable, because one, I'd never done them before and I didn't know what I was supposed to be expecting. But in order to do one of these cables, on one row you do extra yarn overs, and then come back around, and then when you get to those yarn overs, you're supposed to slip it and drop the extra yarn overs. I thought that I was supposed to be trying to knit into all of the yarn overs, and I was like, that's not gonna work. I don't know how to knit into this. And then I realized what I was supposed to be doing after I read the instructions again. Reading is fundamental, friends. But once I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because when you drop those extra yarn overs, you have a big loop, which allows you to have that elongated kind of cable crossing. So that just made me want to see, like, okay, well, how long can you stretch a caliper cable like that? Like, I just want to experiment now, but I want to make things. So, but yeah, the changes that I made to the pattern, I did a different cuff. I think she calls for a 1x1 rib or 1x1 twisted rib, I think it is. I am not here for either one of those things. 1x1 rib, nah bruh. 1x1 twisted rib, nah bruh. So I replaced it with a 2x2 rib. Everything else in the sock is to her pattern except for the toe, because I have a particular rounded toe that I like using. It's actually one that I designed that fits my foot really well, so I replaced the toe. But she has you do the Eye of Partridge slip stitch heel, and I was actually, as I was knitting down the sock, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the heel flap and gusset. And I was like, you know, I want to do like the Eye of Partridge one, because I haven't done that in a while, because I didn't look ahead to see which heel flap she was doing. So when I realized she was doing the Eye of Partridge, I was like, look at that. So yeah, I worked the smallest size because my gauge was a little bit off. So if my gauge was dead on, I would have had to do the medium, like the middle size. But yeah, so that is my half finished object. I really like how this yarn by Chicken Coop Dyeworks worked up. It's very pretty. And I kind of want to make this again in a solid so that the cable stands out a bit more, because it does blend in a bit with this variegated yarn. But as fast as this worked up, I could knit a whole pair in a week. I could knit a whole pair if I was diligent in 4 days. Yeah, because this was a 2-day event right here. So let me show you how far I've gotten on the second one. And I had to like stop myself and put it out of reach, because this pattern is so potato chippy. Like, you know how when you're knitting socks, like vanilla socks with stripes, and you just want to get to the next stripe, you just want to get to the next cable repeat, and each cable repeat happens so quickly that it's nothing to just burn through the whole leg of the sock, which is what I did here. So I'm at the point where I'm gonna start the heel flap next. So that's what the sock looks like in the front. And like, this yarn is so soft and squishy. Oh my goodness. I have no words. I just want to make more DK weight socks, says the girl who lives in Florida in May. This could be a poor choice, but I don't care. I'm gonna wear these socks anyway. Wear them with my sandals. Knitted socks and sandals up in this piece. Actually, these will look really cute with the sandals I have on right now. I have mustard yellow sandals on right now. These will look cute in those. It's happening. I used to be anti-socks and sandals. Now I'm just like, if the socks are knitted, all bets are off. If I made the sock, I'm wearing it all the time. Okay. Basically, in the last week, that's all I worked on. That and getting Gemini ready. I did nothing on my Hope shawl, which is a pattern by Snickerdoodle Knits, and I made one more granny square out of my collection of like green stash busting granny squares. I made one more, so it makes no sense to show that to you guys because everything is the same. I'll probably show you those granny squares again when the colors change. That is everything for works in progress. I will show you my plan. I do have a maker plan, which I mentioned. Did I mention it last week? I might have mentioned it last week. I didn't. I mentioned this, then it would have been about a month ago now because I skipped a week. Whatever. I'm knitting a tote bag for one of my friends. She's a huge Harry Potter nerd, and she's also a Ravenclaw. So what I decided to do was kind of cherry pick the chart motifs from a few of the Harry Potter patterns that Meghan of Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits has released. I have purchased her Hogwarts of History and Hogwarts of History, RavenPaw, and Hufflepuff patterns. So out of those 3 patterns, I then went and picked out some motifs and created a chart so that I can knit a colorwork Ravenclaw tote bag for my friend. And I'm very excited about this. I picked, I'm not going to show you my work here because I basically have taken the patterns from I've taken the motifs, the charts from the different patterns and put them on one page so that I can just follow them like that for ease. And they're all paid for patterns, so I'm not going to give away the goods. But Meghan, a side note, Meg is killing it with her colorwork sweaters right now. I was scrolling on Instagram, as you do, and this woman has been working on this star colorwork amazingness, and every time I see it, I'm just like, why do you have to be so awesome? Why, Meg? Why? But it is stunning. Like, that sweater is stunning. And I'm gonna have to put aside some money to buy it because it's just amazing. And like, this is what happens when you have found like your numbers and then you can just plug and play. Like, I need to find my numbers so that I can play around, because I want to do some colorwork patterns that are inspired by mud cloth and kente cloth and things like that. I think that would be really amazing as like colorwork knitting or colorwork crochet. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about my ideas for this tote bag. So I picked out the patterns that I wanted to do, put the charts down, and then I had to knit a gauge swatch to see where, like, what my measurements were going to be. So this is the yarn that I'm using. It is this Lion Brand Pound of Love? I think it is. Lion Brand Pound of Love in navy blue, and this is elephant gray. It looks white. It's not white. It's like a pale, pale gray. So I asked my friend which Ravenclaw color she liked better, the book or the movie. And she said the movie, which surprised me because she's a super reader, and I totally expected her to say the book. But we've got the movie Ravenclaw colors. This is going to be my main color. This is going to be the contrast. And the motifs that I'm using are the raven, a crown, keys, Harry's glasses, the snitch, time turner, lightning bolt, and the Deathly Hollows. And I have organized it, numbered them so I know which motif I'm doing where, and I had to modify them slightly so that they would all fit on the same stitch count. So I'm really excited to get this going, and hopefully I'll be able to show you guys a good chunk of it when I get there, or when I record next week. So my plan is to knit the body, like knit a tube for the outside of the bag, and then I'm going to seam it across the bottom. So it's not going to be a box bottom, it's just going to be a flat tote. Seam it across the bottom, and then line it with another Ravenclaw fabric. I have some Ravenclaw fabric in my stash, but I may not have enough to do the bag. So I might have to go buy new Ravenclaw fabric for my friend. And then I have to decide what I want to do for the straps. Do I want to have knitted straps? Do I want to have like woven straps or what? But we're not even to that part yet. We got to get the thing knitted first. So that's my maker plan. This is a worsted weight yarn, and I'm going to be working it on, I think these are 5mm. Hello? Where's your size? Oh, these are 4mm. Yeah, I knew that. I'm working them on my 4mm Chiaogu red lace needles. And that's the only thing I have on for maker plans. So, yeah, if you're a Harry Potter fan and like color work / are new to color work and want to try it, I would definitely recommend Meg's patterns. I did her Hogwarts: A History sweater for myself, and it was my first color work garment. It was my second color work anything, and it was my first garment, adult size garment in fingering weight, and I had no problems. I had zero problems at all with the pattern. It was very easy to follow, very clear instructions, and as I remember, there were quite a few bust sizes, so lots of flexibility when it comes to sizing. Yeah. And then if you don't want to knit like a sweater, she has cowl patterns, mittens, the dog sweaters. I think that's all that she's done Harry Potter wise, but she's got a whole host of Harry Potter patterns. So if that's your bag, check her out. So next we have Stashquisitions, and I hope you can hear me over that very loud bug. The first thing that we have in Stashquisitions is a sticker. Well, a sticker set. So recently, I would say probably, I don't know when I came across her, but this year, since January, I don't know. But this artist, her name is Lizzie, and her brand is Rare Press. And Lizzie does a lot of block printing. Like that's her main, I think that's her main expression, is block printing. And she designed this image, and she had it printed on like zipper bags and had it up for like as a wall print. And then she put it as stickers, and I was like, ooh, stickers. So I got the sticker set, and it just says be kind to yourself, and it has all these different faces on. One of my favorite things about Rare Press is the diversity that she shows in her imagery. So she also has it in color, and I love that you can look at the images, like the faces in the pictures, and pretty much identify with someone on there. And I think that's very important when it comes to artwork or visual things, to be able to see yourself represented in that medium. So when I came across her work, that was one of the first things that struck me, was that she was inclusive of various different skin tones, different ethnicities were represented in her work, and I thought that was really amazing. So yeah, I bought a sticker set, and do I know where I'm gonna put said stickers? Nope. Right now this one is sitting on my desk. It leans up against some of my plants. So rare press. Definitely check her work out. I really love this style. It's so cute. One day I'm gonna find my artistic style. One day. My other stash position is not yarny either. It's more artwork. So this artist, I think I came across them, I'm pretty sure this was something that was recommended to me, like by Etsy, either Etsy or Instagram, one of them. I'm pretty sure it was Etsy. You know how they're like, oh, based on what you've been looking at, check out this. And this artist was on there. And this artist is Elayna Speight, and her brand is Thinkinked Art. And I bought this zine from her. It's called Cosmos. And oh, everything's falling. Oh gosh. It's called Cosmos, and basically it is a art zine of her space inspired watercolor art. And we've got this is Meet the Artist, and then each page has a different piece of her art. So let me see, I'm gonna find my favorite. I don't even have a favorite. I love this one. This one's called Awake. And then Moonfall or Moonrise and Nightfall. Like, this just makes me want to bust out the watercolors and try to do this. Like, her work is really, really beautiful. And of course, I love that they're all Black people. It just makes me so happy on the inside. And like the hair textures, there's people in here with locks, there's people with short haircuts. Like, I'm pretty sure my best friend has this haircut right now. It's just, I love it. I love it. I just love it. And like the outside of it, I would frame the outside of this book. And one of the things that I'm really glad about, she had the option of getting a digital zine or a physical zine. And I am so glad that I went with the physical zine, because being able to flip through the pages and look at them, I feel is so much, like, I feel like I take it in more than if I were like swiping it on the screen. And yeah, man, I love it. Cosmos. So I'm going to link her Instagram and her Etsy shop in the down bar, in the description, so you too can get your hands on her amazing artwork. She also has individual prints that you can buy. She has a few like Disney inspired ones, and I was like this close to buying her version of Tiana, the princess from Princess and the Frog. This close. But all of her work is amazing, so definitely check it out if you're in the market for a new visual artist, like visual art to consume. There you go. Here's her thank you card and another example of her work. It's just really beautiful. So that is everything for stash positions. Let me put this away before it gets messed up. That's everything. I don't have anything for Kalisha and the Babe. I have not taken my spinning wheel out to ply that plastic yarn. Haven't done it. I thought about doing it a couple days ago, but I wanted to take my wheel outside and it was very muggy, and I felt like humidity and plastic yarn was probably going to be very bad on my hands, so I didn't do it. Yeah, that's everything crafty. I guess now I'll give a little chit chat of what's been going on in life and whatnot. The note that I wrote down was feeling excited / nervous about pattern writing. And I kind of touched on this at the beginning, just the idea of getting out of your own way, but also the idea that, okay, so this is something that always runs around in my head whenever there's anything that I want to share, anything that I want to put out in the world, is that like little voice that questions whether or not what I'm wanting to put out is good enough, or if there's actually space for it. And I have to tell that voice to shut up because there is enough space out here for anything that we want to create and put out into the world. The world is definitely big enough for those things that you are inspired to create. And another thing that voice says to me is like, there's nothing new under the sun. It doesn't even matter if you put something out there. Someone has already done something like that. Okay, there may not be anything new under the sun, but there's not been another Kalisha. So the way that I interpret putting something together, I mean, I'm sure you could probably find something that looks similar to the thing that I created, right? Or the idea that I've come up with. There's probably something out there that's similar, but it's not going to be exactly the same because there isn't another me, you know, there isn't another you. So when you create that thing and you want to share it or you want to put it out in the world, don't let those thoughts of someone's probably already done this, or is there really space for this, or anything like that, shut that down. So I've been having to actively shut that down within myself, you know, remind myself that the things that I'm creating and the ideas that I'm cultivating and the inspirations that I'm working from are valid and they are important and they should be shared. And I have to keep reminding myself of that. I also have to keep reminding myself that you are good enough. If this is something that you have been inspired to do, right? If this is something that you're excited to do, and if it's something that you want to do and that you can do and that you feel like I'm supposed to do this, or you just really want to do it, then do it, and you are good. You know, you're good enough. You know, that just reminded me of that movie Mona Lisa Smile, where who was that? Julia Roberts was a teacher. She was an art teacher, and she shows her art class some painting, and she asked them, is it good? And so they were having a discussion on whether or not this art was good. And it was like one of those, as I remember, I haven't watched the movie in a long time, so I could be completely wrong. But the point is, the painting that they were looking at was like a classic painting or something like that. And then she showed them a more modern piece. And I specifically remember this because it was a piece by Jackson Pollock. And he was the artist that did the drip and splash technique, which essentially was put the canvas on the floor, throw the paint at it. Art. But I mean, I'm sure he had some sort of thought process behind the colors and where he threw them and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, gravity decided where that paint was going to land. So then she shows them this piece and she asked them, was it good? And one of the students in the classroom said, it's good if the right people say it's good. And then she asked, who are those people? And no one had an answer. So who are the people that say whether the thing that you want to create is good enough? Like, who are those people? Who are the powers that be that determine whether our work is good enough? It should be you. It should be me telling myself that my work is good enough, and that just be it. So I guess I'm challenging myself and challenging you to be the right people to yourself, and to reassure yourself that your work is good enough, and have confidence in your work, so that when time comes for you to put out that pattern that's just been hanging out on your desktop, like me, that you'll say, okay, self, let's get this done. Let's do this. Let's put this beautiful thing out into the world because it's good enough. So that's that's my life and whatnot. I am working on reminding myself that my efforts are good enough and my designs are good enough. My designs they're good and they're fun and they have meaning and they have stories and they share things. Like, I think the next pattern that I'm going to work on releasing is my braiding party hat. And this pattern design has probably also been done for 2 years, but it's a piece that makes me very happy when I think about it. And those are the things that I want to share with the world. I want to share with you guys things that make me happy, that share like my experiences and memories and stories and things like that. That's what I want to share out, you know, through these patterns and through these designs. I want you guys to be able to look at a thing and be like, yeah, Kalisha shared that because it makes her happy. And I want it, like, and I hope that makes you smile as well. So that's going to be the end of this episode. I keep looking over to the side because a little baby Godzilla lizard just jumped out the bush and he's staring me down. Like, he's tired of listening to me talk. So before he gets all his friends together and they come for my toes, I will wish you guys a great weekend. I hope your family is healthy and safe. And I would encourage you to take a moment and share a positive spot, a bright spot down in the comments. Leave something good that happened. And we will celebrate those together. We will share those in next week's episode. And yeah, thank you so much for being a part of my universe. Bye, friends.